Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come and present to you. Alison, thank you to you. My presentation this morning is going to focus upon what I believe, as an employer, I would like to see in young ex-school students coming into industry, seeking to provide me with a useful asset. So with no further ado, I'll carry on with that. Just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm a little bit unusual in the sense that I grew up in Africa, went to the UK, had a military career in the UK for just over 10 years, went to Manchester Business School in the UK, then to Murdoch here in Australia, and then embarked upon starting my own businesses. I started one in the Northern Territory, sold that after about 3 or 4 years, and then got involved with another business here in Perth, and finally have got to a position now where I bought into this company, Woma Australia, and I'm gradually taking over Woma Australia. Now, it's not about taking over, it's about having a vested interest in something I believe in and something I love doing. I'm excited by this business, and therefore I expect the employees who want to work in the business to be excited by the prospect of growing that business and thereby growing their own security and career advancement. Just to give you an idea, if you'd like to read that, Woma Australia is a specialised pump engineering and robotics solutions provider to the mining, oil and gas and general industrial markets. In view of this, the focus of this presentation will be on items that we require from people joining the business. General business etiquette and acumen. I just need to quickly give you a little synopsis. About 3 years ago, I don't have a true PA. I have a general admin person who helps me with some of my administration. She got pregnant and came to me in tears one morning. I didn't know she was pregnant, and I said, "What's wrong, Beth?" And she said, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And I said, "Well, Beth, that's wonderful." So I got up and gave her a hug, and she said, "No, it's not." And so I said, "It is, it's wonderful." Anyway, she continued to work with me until month 7, I think, and then I said, "Beth, we need to find a temp to take over from you while you're away on maternity leave." And she said, "Well, who's that going to be?" And we just put an ad in Seek, and suddenly this young girl walked into reception. A little 17-year-old walked into reception, and she had had a fallout with her parents in Adelaide when she was 14. She had left Adelaide, moved to Perth, and lived with her sister in Perth and put herself through school here, and really had nothing to offer at the age of 17 other than the will to go somewhere in life. So I said to her, "Listen," Beth came up and says, "What are we going to do with this girl?" And I said, "Well, just send her away." She said, "No, she's quite special. She really is looking for something." So I said, "Send her upstairs. Don't put the Seek in ad in just yet. I'll just interview her for 5 minutes." Well, this little person sat in front of me, and I thought, wow, how brave. So I said to her, I won't give her name, I said, "Why don't you come in on Monday morning? I expect you to be dressed in business attire. And if you don't know what that is, look on the web. Come in on Monday morning and be here at 8 a.m. Don't be late. And after a week of working for me, let's see if you like me and I like you. And if that works out, then what we'll do is we'll draw up a contract and look to see if you can stay." So, unorthodox. She came in. Well, by Friday, I couldn't wait to write up a contract for her. That young girl is now in charge of our marketing communications at Woma. She has skyrocketed. We've put her through vocational cert training, Cert 3. She's done a Cert 4. She's now starting a diploma in marketing, in digital marketing communications. So happy with her. Amazing girl, and she's going to go somewhere. So I just want to tell you that there are businesses out there that believe in this sort of thing, that believe in growing young people and taking them in. I'll also like to cover business administrative staff key activities, business administrative staff marketing specific activities. Young people joining our businesses, and I don't speak for all businesses, but our business in particular, they need to have an understanding of the business cycle. I'm not interested whether they know about the 4, 5, or 7 Ps of marketing. I'm not interested in that. we need new starters who have a good grip on personal presentation and conduct, attitude and respect. Not attitude and respect for me as well as me for them, but also for our customers and for the market and for the people we deal with. So that people feel special when they're dealing with our business. They feel, wow, I got handled really well by those people. They need to understand that. And this is really important, acknowledging that work standards are just that, and that personal standards are to be applied before and after work. And this is so important with the young starters. Look, we were all young starters one day, but the young starters of today, when they walk in with their MP3 player in their pocket and their headphones, and every time, and you just say, listen, with respect, can you get those off? You're working in my paid time. They walk in with shirts hanging out, and I know it's fashionable, and I'm a fuddy-duddy with my shirt tucked in, but whoopie-doo, that's me. But they walk in with shirts hanging out. They think it's okay to bend over and show you their panties or their undies. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay in the international business environment to be like that. It's just not okay. So there are business standards from 8 to 5 or whatever you want to call it, and then I don't really mind what they'd like to do before and after that. And I don't impinge on that. But I have standards and I expect them to follow them. And I suppose kids need to understand that in going into businesses, they can't dictate to the business how they're going to be. Product is so important as a new starter to orientate themselves with an understanding of the company's products, be they widgets or services. To have someone in the business who has been there 6 months or a year but still doesn't really understand what we do or how we do it is a fault of both sides of the fence. It's a fault of management, and it's a fault of the new employee, the new starter. We need a raison d'etre. We need a reason to be at work, don't we? Otherwise, it's much easier at home. And so to have a belief and an understanding in what the company does and understand what it makes, why it makes it, and where that fits in the global scale of things is really important. To have an understanding of pricing strategies. Now, whether you're front desk reception, marketing, helping with engineering, or a new technician in the workshop, to at least have an understanding that we make things at a production cost. And then, whatever that is, or we make services at a production cost. And then there's wholesale pricing if we're selling lots of these things to someone who on-sells them, or retail pricing where it's straight to market, or what we call special arrangements. Special arrangements in Western Australia means when you get bullied by the big boys and you've got to force your price around. But I like to ensure that all my staff have a clear understanding of our product and our pricing strategy. They don't need to know exact pricing, but they need to know how it works. So that gives them a vested interest in why they're working hard and where they fit into the whole project, and that they are important. I know WA is a footy state, and I'm a rugby player, or was. But I like to think of us in our company as a team, that the winger is as important as the front rower, and that it doesn't matter who you are, that if one of those people is missing, the team is dysfunctional. And that if someone drops the ball, you don't all turn and go, one of those. You say, don't worry, we can pick this up together, we can make it happen. Saying that you can only drop the ball a few too many times and then you would end up in the B team. So, if you know what I mean. So they have to be with the game. Place or position, having a clear understanding of the company's products and where they're intended to penetrate the market. People always say, that links to quality and what is quality. And I just like to say this, that, we can walk into the service station and there's some sunglasses there. Cheapies, $10, $15 sunglasses. And they are quality sunglasses because they're built to stop UV. But if you come across the fence to safety glasses for mine sites, well, they're a different quality for a different reason, for a different fitness for purpose. And so it's important that our staff in the business and new staff coming in understand what quality we're trying to produce for what position in the market and how we position ourselves as a company, so that we don't undersell our product or oversell our product, or tell furfies by mistake. Welcome, come on in. straight here, front row, I think. Yeah. Promotion, orienting themselves with the channels to market. We're in heavy industry or in the heavy engineering industrial world, and so the channels to market are quite complicated. And what I mean by that is that some of it is direct sale, personal relationships, some of it is through networking organizations, and some of it is through the web and indirect links through Google and everything else where people come out of the blue and say, wow, we've seen your product, we're interested. And so our staff need to have an understanding of those channels to market so they can facilitate the travel of product through those channels to market and help the business be successful. And here we bring in the importance of administrative staff and staff that are sometimes, you've got the teeth staff at the front end who are the guys in the workshop, guys and girls in the workshop making things, building things. You've got the engineers designing stuff. And then we've got sales and administration, finance in the office. You know what? My sales and administration people, my finance guy, Alex, is in every operational meeting. Front up. My young marketing lady, Chelsea, is in every operational meeting. I'll explain why. New start administrative staff need to provide assistance in the planning, assisting with the input of plans and project preparation. As a manager of the business, a managing director of the business, and having managers in the business, they don't have time to write plans and projects. They have time to direct what needs to be written. They have time to say, Alex, can you put these financial projections into this report for me, please? Make sure they're correct. Make sure you put a work in progress in there as well. And so they play a critical role in the delivery of the overall service and product. Coordination, facilitating the rollout. Beryl at work, for example, she's the young lady who phones around and makes sure that people have got the right passport, the right visa, the right airline tickets, that she's arranging for things to happen. Without those people, the business falls apart. And without them doing a precise and good job of it, the business falls apart. She negotiates with people in Sweden, in the States, in France, to arrange travel, to arrange technology visits. She's talking with MDs of big companies in Europe. She's 22, and she plays a really important role in the business. And it's really important, I think, for your students to understand that their role is an important part of the business, and that they will be playing a critical role in the business, and that there's room for growth for them should they do that role well. Commanding, a funny word to use. We need help from administrative staff in the commanding, the facilitating of the actual implementation of the projects. Young Beryl tells my engineering manager that he will be there at 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. And he goes, okay, Beryl, I'll be there. So she helps, she has authority, obviously passed on through the network of the business, to make things happen, and in French, to kick butt. And she has to believe in herself that she has the authority to do so and to carry out the commands to make things happen, the disciplines. Without it, the structures fall apart. Coordination, well, helping with the management and to synchronize and harmonize the various activities and to bring them to our attention if things aren't happening. To say, listen, we've got 3 guys flying it at the same as the other 3 guys. We're not going to be able to cope with all these people. You need to sort your diary out, make sure you're aware of this. That sort of lubrication in the business that makes the business function. And proactively thinking. And control, assist in monitoring and controlling plans, projects, and initiatives. About 8 years ago, I had a business advisor came into the business and said, we need to write you a business plan. And I said, but I've got one. He said, well, let me have a look at it. Anyway, at some outrageous expense, he wrote me a business plan. And it was like putting down railway tracks. And the problem with railway tracks is they go from destination to destination A to destination B, but they don't take into account changing circumstances along the way. And so we now have a mobile business plan that is updated. It's a 3-year plan. It's updated. It's greenfields annually, so it becomes a 3-year every year. But monthly, it's tweaked. At a monthly ops meeting, we go through aspects of it that are inappropriate for changing market directions. Can you imagine, with the downturn in the market right now, if we'd stuck to the business plan of 3 years ago? We'd be on a train ride to nowhere. So my administrative staff, my commercial staff, help me to ensure that we've got up-to-date financial figures in there at all times, because it's a mobile online document, that we've got up-to-date marketing strategies in place, dealing with certain people who are vying for our marketing dollar, promotional dollar, branding, imaging, that we are up-to-date in terms of lessening travel budgets or increasing them for different reasons. And so everyone in the business buys into that, believes in that direction, and is part of that direction because, interestingly, in our business, every single person in the administrative side of the business has a responsibility or a part or a piece of that business plan that they own. So they tap in, they go to their area in the business plan, and they ensure it's up to date as of this month in terms of where our direction is. And so we live that business plan, and it's energized every month. All right, I must be nearly out of time. I'll be as quick as I can. Understanding the pillars of information, computers and technology, this has changed so fast. I grew up in the world of strict MBA-type marketing, and wow, have I been left behind in the dust. And I try and read on planes and wherever I am, I try and read to keep up with advancing technology. But this is where your students have a huge benefit to play. Huge. Because old grey blokes like me, we're kind of, as hard as we try to reach back and get hold of Twitter and all this stuff, it's moving ahead of us. Yes, I'm with LinkedIn, and yes, I've spent too much time on Facebook sometimes. But the truth is that it's this generation you're teaching that it will bring that into businesses, and we are hungry for it. We are hungry for people in our business who understand that playground. It's that playground of tomorrow. And I really think there are other speakers who are going to handle that better than me, but that's a really important part of the business, and a really important, to use that phrase again, raison d'etre for your students when they come into businesses to say, I can answer this for you. I can provide that service. And have a solid grasp of basic MS Office is obviously critical. Being able to write, and this, please take this on board in the right manner, but being able to write complex business documents and letters, not just abbreviated one-liner emails and texts, using correct grammar and spelling. Okay, so, well, if they don't in our business, I'm not shy of going back to staff and saying, rewrite that email. I don't want you to write me one-liners with ... with a smiley face at the end. I don't want it. It's a business email, it's a business communication. So they need to be correct and properly done. When you text me after works to see if I want to go and play badminton with my shaky knees, then that's fine. You can put smiley faces, I'm going to beat you. But during business, I expect proper, correct, written English. And if they have a problem with it, phone mum, ask her. And then we get our staff, if you would like to read, that's the last slide, we get our staff involved in database development management, this is the marketing staff, portfolio and brochure development. These are exciting areas. Direct campaigns, mail, trade shows, and response marketing. We take some of the staff to trade shows to grow them. Websites, Google, MailChimp, Zoho. Zoho is a CRM type system. Virtual communities, mediums, Facebook, Twitter, I've talked about this, related regulation and legislation. Please read that. And this is that young lady that walked into my reception. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. It's about what you're made of, not the circumstances you find yourself in. It's about what you turn around and say, look, I haven't got any quals, I've got this, or I've got this, or I've got that, but wow, I'm willing to give my heart and make this happen. It's about what you're made of. And unfortunately, we have no excuses in business if we can't perform. And we have to always put the best foot forward, and we expect our young staff to, and we look after them if they do.